Hi guys, how are you guys doing? Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for checking out another video. Today we're going to talk about the toxic parent, the toxic parents, guardian, whoever it is that's raising children or who have raised children in chaos, in toxic environment. The parent who the child is never good enough. The parent who sometimes sabotage their children, who are verbally abusive to their children. Sometimes they even have what you call a target child, that child that they focus all their wrath and energy on. You even have some go as far as inflicting physical pain on said child. There's a case where the mom had about 7 or so children. She lost custody of them. I believe a sister took some of the kids, but one child wound up in a different home. She constantly burned that kid with a cigarette. Kid had all kinds of marking on its body. And I believe this child was maybe 8, a big enough child, I believe. It wasn't like an infant. But when protective services went, they saw that baby, that youngster, with burns on its body. Because for whatever reason, that parent, that mother, decided to target that specific child and inflict physical pain on that child. And even sometimes it goes on into adulthood, you know, where a mother would be against the daughter or whatever the case is, and would sabotage that child. You know, we're supposed to honor our parents, but you have a lot of people who also throw that back and say parents are not supposed to provoke their children to wrath. You know? But even cases, a lot of times I hear when people would travel, they would leave their children with relatives, especially in the islands. And when they leave their children and go abroad, thinking that the kids would be safe with a sister or whoever, grandmother or the aunt, and they would terrorize those children. You hear so many horror stories of people going to go live with some relative, and that's the Cinderella. That one has to do all the chores. No mercy on that child. That one have to go tie out the goat, bring them back in before school. That one doing all the dishes. And their cousins or whoever they live with. Whoever have like the aunt who has their children don't have their children working like the one that's Cinderella. Their precious little Joey and Madeline are fine. They don't have to go tie out the goat. But that poor little one there, whose mother or father went abroad or whatever it is, and the aunt looking after that child, hell to pay. That baby don't know nothing about Dandy Shandy. He ain't playing no game, no marble, no nothing. And he's the slave child. That's the one that they take and send all over the place to run errands. Meanwhile, their precious jewels are put up in the house somewhere. They can play dolly house. And they don't know these things affect adults. When people do these things to children, they grow up with void and they grow up with psychological issues. Some people can't get over it. They're 70, 80 years old, and they can tell you what that toxic parent or relative, guardian, did to them when they were 5. Some people remember being 5, 7, 8, 10 years old, having to go back and forth, down yonder, up the block, round the block, because that toxic person in their life or at the time brought them nothing but hell, misery. Some people cry today when they speak about what they've been through because of adults who are supposed to protect the children, protect their children. It's one thing when you have somebody taking care of your child or your children because you went abroad, you went somewhere, you couldn't manage a child and you gave them to somebody else. But it's another level when that birth parent can look at their children and cause such atrocity. Or a mother burn her baby with cigarettes all over the body that she birthed. That's on a different level. Or a birth parent would try to sabotage their child's future. You even have cases where some parents, they have it and their kids in college. They're in college and they wouldn't even help them with piece of the tuition. Can't even help them buy a book. I can't even imagine what books cost now in college. Well, maybe now you can rent them or download them digitally. But I can't imagine buying a paperback, an actual physical book, and talk about in college right now. That thing probably running you $250, $200 for one book. But like I said, maybe they can rent them now. But yeah, back to the toxic parent. The parent who will sabotage their kids. Like, who would want to watch their children? Who would want to witness their child's downfall? What kind of parent is that? Who will not want to see their kids do better than them? We're not talking about the entitled grown person. We're talking about now, let's say children, the youngins. Sometimes you'd have kids, 13, coming to school. They hardly have anything. Not because the parent can't afford it. But sometimes the parents just don't want to do it. And like I said, when they target that child and Child Protective Services, a lot of times I have to step in and remove those children. Because a lot of times when they take, if you have 4 kids or whatever the case is, if you ill-treat one, a lot of times they come in and they take all the other kids. Sometimes that even go unnoticed. Or even back in the day when you hear the horror stories. Some people will even prostitute their children. They might even know that their kid's getting, touched up or whatever the case is by a step parent and they look the other way. That's beyond me. They know these things happening and they turn a blind eye. And when you listen to these stories, you can't even imagine like a birth parent, a mother at that, would sit back and watch anybody torture their own children. Or a mother would go and tell somebody, oh, don't help him, he don't need it. Like, why would you do that to your own child? You shouldn't do it to anybody, period, but your own child. And then when that child grows up now and is an adult and have such animosity towards the parents, people can't understand that person's righteous, just anger. Not to say we should disrespect our parents, but sometimes parents have to think about what they're doing when it comes on to children. I did a video earlier when I said we must protect our children. And you have these people, they grow up to be adults with so many different problems. They have so much baggage. If their mother was a nightmare, they go and find a wife and they treat that wife the way they should, as if she's the mother, and target that wife, vice versa. If somebody has daddy issues, they can do the same thing when they, you know, in a relationship with their husband, their spouse, their person. But you have that toxic parent who will intentionally cause and inflict pain to their children. And like I said, it's not just physical, but psychologically too. You know, when they do these things, it affects people when they grow up, you know. But it's beyond me. When a woman who bring their child here, they brought this child for 9 months, bring them here, and sometimes do the unthinkable, and not care about those children. You know, we have to be mindful what we do, even how we speak to children. I always say they're little people. When it comes on to kids, even when I was in the classroom, you know, you try to respect them and you respect their space. And of course, they're going to respect you as an authority figure. And even outside, walking around, you see kids, you address them, you know, properly. We don't have to always yell at them, scream at them, use the F-bomb. Some parents, when you look at them and their kids outside, it's the F-bomb, F-bomb. Mother this, mother that. Speaking to their children in public. And then they wonder why the kids turn out the way they are. And then when they get old and need those same children, what are they going to do? Some kids, when they dump their parents in the nursing home, I saw a video one time where a woman, the nurse at the facility, said when she put her father in the facility, guess they didn't have a good relationship, or maybe he didn't raise her. I can't remember the particulars. But the nurse had called her and said to her, your dad might have had like a medical emergency. And the nurse said, the daughter said, listen, call me when he's no longer here. Don't call me to tell me what's going on with him. When he expires, then you call me. Otherwise, I'm not interested. This is a grown woman. So the father could have been roughly 80, because this woman is a big woman. You know, so we have to be mindful. I hear one lady say she's nice to her children because they're the ones going to pick out her nursing home. But you know, just got to be, like I said, mindful how we're raising these kids and not drag them up. All right? I'll catch you guys on the next one.